Welcome to Wisdom Trek with Gramps. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, and we are on day 2637 of our trek. The purpose of Wisdom Trek is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, and to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. In today's Wisdom Nugget, we've arrived at the triumphant conclusion of our trek through the powerful Psalm 68 in the New Living Translation. This psalm has taken us on an incredible journey, revealing God as the mighty divine warrior, the compassionate defender of the vulnerable, the faithful leader through the wilderness, the triumphant king dwelling in Zion, and now these final verses, the psalmist brings these themes to a magnificent crescendo, focusing on God's enduring strength, the future recognition of His sovereignty by all nations, and the ultimate source of power for His people. These verses offer us a prophetic glimpse into the future of where God is fully revealed and His reign is universally acknowledged. They would have filled the ancient Israelites with hope, reminding them that God's ultimate plan amidst their present circumstances. Let's conclude our exploration of Psalm 68 by reading the verses 28 through 31. Summon your might, O God. Display your power, O God, as you have in the past. The kings of the earth are bringing tribute to your temple in Jerusalem. Rebuke these enemy nations, these wild animals lurking in the reeds, this herd of bulls among the weaker calves. Make them bring bars of silver in humble tribute. Scatter the nations that delight in war. Let Egypt come with these gifts of precious metals. Let Ethiopia bring tribute to God. The psalmist begins this concluding section with a powerful plea for and affirmation. Summon your might, O God. Display your power, O God, as you have in the past. This isn't a request for God to somehow become more powerful. It's a prayer for Him to activate and demonstrate the immense power that is inherently His. The psalmist recalls God's past actions of power, the Exodus, the victories in the wilderness, the scattering of the enemies, and he asks for the same mighty power to be openly displayed once again. It's a prayer rooted in confidence in God's unchanging nature and His historical faithfulness. This display of God's power has a remarkable consequence, the vision of the future reality. The kings of the earth are bringing tribute to your temple in Jerusalem. In the ancient world, the tribute was a sign of submission and recognition of a great sovereign authority. Kings bringing tribute to Jerusalem, the site of God's temple and His dwelling place, signifies their acknowledgement of God's supreme kingship by the rulers of the world. This was a truly audacious vision. From an ancient Israelite perspective, given the power and arrogance of the empires that often dominated their world. It was a prophetic hope that one day all earthly power would bow before the Almighty. The psalmist then calls God to deal with the persistent enemy nations, using vivid animal imagery. Rebuke the enemy nations, these wild animals lurking in the reeds, these herds of bulls among the weaker calves. Now the wild animals lurking in the reeds could have referred to the dangerous creatures hiding in ambush, perhaps symbolizing cunning and deceptive enemies. The herd of bulls among the weaker calves likely depicted powerful, oppressive nations dominating and exploiting the weaker ones. This imagery underscores the predatory nature of these adversaries and the threat that they pose. The plea continues, make them bring bars of silver in humble tribute, scatter the nations that delight in war. The request for bars of silver in humble tribute reinforces the idea of forced submission and the acknowledgement of God's dominance, even from those who were formerly hostile. God's power is so great that even the wild animals and bulls are compelled to bring gifts as a sign of subjugation. The desire to scatter the nations that delight in war reflects the longing for peace and an end to conflict, the peace that will ultimately be established under God's sovereign rule. Verse 31 provides specific examples of nations that will bring tribute. Let Egypt come with gifts of precious metal. Let Ethiopia bring tribute to God. Egypt was a historical oppressor of Israel, and Ethiopia, which is also named Cush, represented a distant and significant nation. The mention of these specific nations, often symbols of a wider world, bringing tribute to God in Jerusalem, underscores the universal scope of the psalmist's vision. It was the prophecy of God's fame and power that would extend to all corners of the earth, leading the nations of diverse backgrounds to acknowledge Him and honor Him. Think about the significance of this from a perspective of an Israelite who had experienced oppression in Egypt. The idea that one day Egypt would come bearing gifts to God of Jerusalem would be an incredible reversal of fortunes, a powerful testimony to God, ultimate triumph and vindication for His people. Let's move on to the final verses of Psalm 68, verses 32 through 35. Sing to God, you kingdoms of the earth. Sing praises to the Lord. Sing to the one who rides across the ancient heavens, his mighty voice thundering from the skies. Tell everyone about God's power. His majesty shines down on Israel. His strength is mighty in the heavens. God is awesome in his sanctuary. The God of Israel gives power and strength to his people. Praise be to God. Building on the vision of the nations bringing tribute, the psalmist issues a grand universal call to worship. Sing to God, you kingdoms of the earth. Sing praises to the Lord. This is the ultimate response desired. Not just a grudging tribute, but a joyful praise from all nations, all the kingdoms of the world. It's a repetitive and expansive vision that we saw earlier in Psalm 67, a hope for global worship directed toward the one true God. The interlude provides a moment of contemplation of this glorious future, a world united in singing praises to the Lord. The psalmist then describes the object of this universal praise. Sing to the one who rides across the ancient heavens, his mighty voice thundering from the sky. This returns to the majestic imagery of God's power and transcendence. Riding across the ancient heavens speaks of the eternal existence of his sovereign rule over all the cosmos. His mighty voice thundering from the sky evokes awe and demonstrates his irresistible power and authority, echoing the sounds of Sinai. The call to tell everyone about God's power, the display of God's might, is not meant to be a secret. It is to be proclaimed and made known universally. This aligns with the missional theme presented throughout the Psalms, that God's actions and characters are to be witnessed to all the earth. The psalmist then connects God's universal power with a special relationship with Israel. His majesty shines down on Israel. His strength is mighty in the heavens. God's majesty, his inherent greatness and glory, is particularly evident in his dealings with Israel. His strength is not confined to the earthly realm. It is mighty in the heavens, signifying his supreme authority over all creation, both visible and invisible. The psalm concludes with this final powerful affirmation and blessing. God is awesome in the sanctuary. The God of Israel gives power and strength to his people. Praise be to God. God is awesome, inspiring reverence and wonder in his sanctuary, the place of his presence among his people. This reminds us that even in the sacred space of worship, we are encountering the same all-powerful God whose voice thunders from the sky. And the final, crucial truth for God's people, the God of Israel gives power and strength to his people. The same immense power that scatters the enemies, that rides the heavens, and is acknowledged by nations is a source of strength for those who belong to him. This strength is not inherent in the people themselves, but is a gift from the God of Israel, their covenant-keeping God. It is a power that enables them to live, to serve, and to overcome. The psalm concludes with a simple yet profound doxology. Praise be to God. This is a fitting response to contemplating such a powerful, majestic, and gracious God. Now, Psalm 68, verses 28 through 35, provides a glorious conclusion to this multifaceted hymn. It moves from a prayer for God's manifested power to a prophetic vision of a global submission and worship, culminating in the assurance that the all-powerful God is a source of strength for his people. What wisdom can we take from these final verses of our trek today? Firstly, we're reminded to pray for God's power to be displayed, not for our own glory, but so that his name may be known and honored throughout the earth. Secondly, we are given a vision of God's ultimate triumph and the future when all earthly powers will bow before him. This provides hope and perspective in a world often marked by arrogance of human power. Thirdly, we are called to join the universal chorus of praise, acknowledging God's power and majesty, which is evident both in the vastness of creation and his specific dwellings with his people. And perhaps most personally, we are assured that the God of the universe, the God of Israel, is the one who gives us power and strength. We do not rely on our own limited abilities, but on the inexhaustible might of our God. Let us go forth from our study with hearts filled with praise, confident in the power of God, and ready to receive the strength that he provides for every step of our wisdom trek. Thank you for joining me through this extensive trek through the powerful Psalm 68. I trust that exploring these verses has given you a deeper appreciation for the multifaceted character of our amazing God. Join me again the next time for another segment of Wisdom Trek, where we will continue to uncover the enduring wisdom of God's Word. And if you found this podcast insightful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Then encourage your friends and family to join us and come along with us tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, and most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal. As we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you next time for more daily wisdom.